gitawag nga ASEAN. Nanay nakasabot niya na Jiggy Juice nga. Ang ASEAN na mga bot diri nga tagalain-laing nasod. Yeah. Kung makasabot sila sa abbreviation, kabaw sila nga within the area sa atong mga nasakupan, no? And gutob-gutob rasad ya. Wa sila kabaw. Unsa may buhaton na like abi nimo turista na sila or unsa man kanang kinsa may gipangpadala diri ana nga mga nasod. So mong ato ang kanang kinahanglan nga isibya sa mga kaubanan nato, mga kiksuna nato nga naminaw ani ato ang kwan. Ona. Sa may ato ang kwan.
Like right now? Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ralph, for putting us live.
Ooh.
So, maayong adlaw sa kanatong tanatong hisgutan karong adlaw is the ASEAN or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is ongoing right now. I'm your host. My name is Jiggy Juice.
And I am Bayjaya.
And si Bayjaya akong gidaaning tapika kay murag maswito man siya sa kaning mga uban natong mga kasilinganan nga mga Asian nations, di ba? Gamay lang, gamay lang. So, ang atong gisgutan karong adlaw, among other things, is the ASEAN. Unsam gyud ASEAN or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay?
Yeah. Mo na kanang among gisgutan ni Jiggy sa ay pa ta nagsugod, no? Nagsige mig hisgot-hisgot.
So kita ang mura og mahog og host
country.
Karon
to the country. Yeah, murag niingon maka kanina nga naabot na sila Bohol. Wangwang na ngadto. So naka-schedule ta karon diri sa Cebu City.
Correct.
Since Monday this week. I think mahuman na siya within the week. Like I think today or tomorrow.
So ang kaning annual man siya, di ba? Annual get together of Southeast Asian Nations. Kita may mga member countries ni Ani Bayjaya.
Ako ang nahibalaan is of course kanang ato ang mga kaigagawan, ang ato ang Pilipinas, ang Malaysia, Indonesia, I think Vietnam is part of it. Kanang kung makita mo nga parpregnaw Cambodia. Wala ako may nunuluan. Sa ato lang nga panagisgot.
Murag Pinoy.
Mga parpregnaw nga sa mga Noipi. Apil mo siguro Myanmar, apil siguro ang Thailand na. I think maapil ang Thailand na.
Apil sa ng Thailand.
Parpregnaw mo sa puti kapag naong gato. Ang way apil yun na sigurado isang mga aboriginals sa Australia. Kay Pacific naman sila. So, muna ang panaghugpong sa mga gitawag na to nasod sa sulod sa
napo ni sila
Southeast Asian Nations.
Napo ni sila kabok nasod. Wala ni mo na mention ang Singapore.
Ay, apil mo sa day sila. Sorry.
Ang Laos.
Mga kuwan ko ni, mga banggiitan ko ni sila. High up there. So, apil ang Laos day.
Laos o Brunei.
Brunei, yes. Kana.
So, ang ilahang style ani is kung ikaw ang host country, ikaw ang set sa agenda kay gathering man mura man kanina murag summit bitaw.
Ang ako nadunggan mura na nila get together retreat something like that.
Dili ni siya pareha ni nahitabo karon sa Davos pod sa Switzerland mura ni kind of economic forum
nila.
World,
so formal gani siya kanang pina-disente kining mga tao ani. Sakto ba?
Depende lang how you define decente pero being a host nation, ilang termino ni chairmanship. Ikaw ang mo diba ikaw ang mo set sa agenda. Ang giset nato karong ASEAN is number 1 economic growth.
All right.
Number 2 regional security and number 3 they're welcoming a new member which is Timor.
East Timor or so na?
East
Timor. So what is sila apil sa una?
Murag sila apil sa una. Sila so na potential 11th kaning
country part of ASEAN.
Yeah,
okay.
So
we're growing, huh?
Yeah, we're ever-growing group of tiny countries
I see.
in the Southeast Asian region of the world. Unya, kaning ang ato manggong gintawag nila og world order karon ba? Murag na tayog naman, usab naman, di ba? So, kay tungod sa mga panghitabo, sa mga nahitabo sa because lahi naman gud rong panahon na gud siguro I think you can agree with this analysis nga lahi na gyud rong panahon na grabe na kay ka-interconnected thanks to technology ba. So mga panghitabo sa kalibutan murag nanay gitawag nila og change of world order. So kaning ato ang pag naghugpong as ASEAN is increasingly becoming more relevant ba?
Okay.
Kay lisod maguning gamay ka nga nasod. Ang primary conversation gud nila, number one silahang kaning agenda kanang peace and security, di ba? Unya mura man hisgutan mo ninyo ni Raf nga medyo ang ato ang mga trusted and reliable kaning partners is no longer what we expected them to be. Murag lahi na ilang tuno ba?
Okay.
Lahi na ilang tuno. Unya nanapoy ni emerge nga global power amongst us in Asia, which is China.
Yeah.
Diba? Ni mura man na siya ni overtake na sa
US karon.
Sa Japan, di ba?
Japan.
As the number 2 economy in the world and perhaps number 2 also military force, di ba? So usab gyud ang murag realignment ba?
Yeah.
Di ba? Murag na realignment. Imuhang pananaw ni Bajaya ba? I know nga we need to bring this down to the local level ba.
Of course.
Pero dili mo ka maka-help nga maghisgot gyud og global or geopolitics because we are increasingly becoming more interconnected ba. So dili gid mahimo nga dili nito hisgutan ang global context sad sa pangitabo. In fact, it's not a coincidence nga ang economic summit sa Davos, Switzerland had just happened a few weeks ago. Anya paghuman karon kita dayon sa ASEAN, dili na siya coinciding. That's actually probably perhaps strategic ba. Kay ang mga members sa
series of events siya globally.
Katong World Summit apil man tanan.
Apil tanan.
Oh, kani siya. Mura bag kung unsa na kung naay meeting magbuwag unsa na kanang unsa tawag na kanang naabit ay breakout session.
Breakout.
Oh, naay main meeting mo breakout session din. This is a kind of breakout session I believe, di ba?
Yeah.
So ikaw ba Jaya kaning ASEAN unsa man imong tan-aw niya ni kay ako ever since I was in high school naman mi gitawag nila og more newspaper bitaw for students CED.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. CED tagaan mi na every week managi.
CED means
current events digest or something like that. So tanan nga mga panghitabo sa kalibutan, aware me through that small familiar ba kana Raf kana CED? Nasa UP High School atong una. Unya.
Mga UP.
Okay. Paghuman kaning that's my recollection of ASEAN ba.
Right.
Pero wa jud ko naka sabot og maayo unsa gyud ning ASEAN. Unsa may mo understanding ning ASEAN di ay Bajay?
Kaning kasagaran parehar magud makadungog ta what ASEAN is all about, and I mean ASEAN schedule every time malabo nagmari sila diri. We only hear nga okay mga leaders sa lain-laing nasod ang mga bot. Either ilahan ng mga gitawag nimo og kanang mga minister, ilahan mga ambassador, kinsa na diha ang ilahang ginapaminaw diha para diri siguro mag-meeting na sila kay maghisgot na sila sa ilahang mga kanang unsay mga kaayuhan nila didto, unsay inani mo good like the way I see it every time may mga global summit that happens, they show what works, unsay may epektibo nila nga mga proyekto dito ug mga kalambuan ug unsa pod ang ilahang mga nabantayan nga posibleng dili maayo nga manghitabo, no, like say pandemics and so on. So they discuss that during these world summit. So usa kaning ASEAN summit diri lang ni sa ginatapo kay murag mahug siguro kita mo relatable kayo kining atong mga grupo diri nga is like relatable in terms of geography.
What do you mean by relatable?
Relatable ang ato ang weather, geography, and our kanang country structure. Kay gipalibutan tag dagat. More or less we are somehow the same with the flora and fauna nga duol gyud ba niya. If we start talking about global relations manggod, aside from our kining atuang technology and progress, we talk about environment. Yeah. Igo pagyud kayo karong panahon na sus Ginoo ko.
Maayong adlaw ni mo da Aaron Jed. Unsa man na John 2024 na siguro na siya ibabasa bang kita ako na unsay ng John 2024. Pogi ko na siya.
Pogi
ako.
Kuyawan ta na mga inana.
Magandang umaga po sa iyo Aaron Jed.
Aaron Jed.
Maraming salamat.
Magandang araw sa iyo diyan. Saan ka man naroroon?
I've always asked ba, unsa man gyud biggest achievement aning ASEAN? Kay para nako dili mo gud kayo concrete because I am not in I'm not in government o paghuman kaning we are only aware of the ASEAN kung na mga projects nga kaning controversial na mga activities nga kaning maka-cause og traffic pero wa jud ko nakasabot unsay ang ako nang gi-search ba ang crowning glory kuno aning ASEAN gyud kuno is peace. ASEAN peace, meaning to say kalinaw sa mga miyembro nga mga nasod.
Para
long-term maintenance and regional stability of the ASEAN members katong hisgutan to mga nasod. Kay nakadungog ba gubat sa among ASEAN nations like conflict? Wala man siguro, di ba?
Actually na.
Pero
kanang sa dagat.
No, I'm talking about the ASEAN. Dili man na member ang China sa ASEAN.
Vietnam.
Pero dili siya kayo.
Dili na nakadako.
Wag gud ni escalate.
Dili gud escalate.
Okay, membro man sila
Kay mura man sila pinagitawag og treaty.
O na sila
panagsabutan
ba? Sige.
Kasabutan.
It's interesting that you noticed that because I really thought there was no quibble with any of the ASEAN nations. Unsa man problema nato or unsa man atong issue with Vietnam I mean, let's talk about the last 20 years. I let's talk about Vietnam War.
Dili katong bag-ulang katong
unsa may labot sa Vietnam
nagkuan sa sila na gamayng bikil.
Unsa may bikil
dito sa dagat. I cannot remember exactly unsa tong
kato sa tong Spratly katong putong katong
diha gyapon dalang bigit gyapon diha kanang mga lugar sa West Philippine Sea.
They're also part of the
appeal man sila diha
sa gubat
di gyud malikaya na. Yes, I agree pero nakanindot kay ang ASEAN na sila gitawag Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. So mo pud na siya hinungdan nganong wa na lang gyud na nila gi padayon kay naa man na sila kasabutan nga kung any of the two countries within the ASEAN nations na ay malambigit nga gubot i-forgo na lang na nila. Dili nila padayonon. So they will come into whatever compromise.
So would you know what the compromise was with the Philippines?
I really couldn't remember, but I'd like to look into that. I don't know kinsay mga kinumdum diha if ever you know about what happened. I wasn't able to follow. Basta I remember there was a conflict with Vietnam and Philippines.
Pero dili siya ingon nga kaning
it never really went
escalate into
controversial
into a kind of
war. Not like China, no. Definitely. Dili pareha sa
walay mga tangke o mga barko nga mga water guns and all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah, wala na hitabo ana. Muralag ka na mga nga. Ang mga fisher folks magud nato mo ya kung ang ato ang kasagaran yun malambigit ana. Usually involved are the fishermen that would be veering towards those international waters pa. Okay, for them, the open water is actually an open market or open source for their trade. And muna, diha gyud na sila malambigit.
Kamo diha mga tigpaminaw na mo og tigpananaw, daghang salamat. And if you want to join in the conversation, we are talking about the Association of Southeast Asian Nations summit here in the Philippines. They're actually now here in Cebu. Unsa ba lang ruta ani bay kay di ba nagisgot ko na dito sila og Bohol a couple of weeks ago and now they're here in Cebu. Unsa man gyud ilahang plano? Asam ni sila diri ra ni sila sa Visayas or maadto po ni sila sa Mindanao? Unsa man ilang plano ani?
I think that's from January magsugod sila ang karon. It's about January 8. That's 20 let me see 28 to 31st muna ilahang ASEAN Tourism Forum. And then karon ay tabo po sa Cebu, I think the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Retreat. And then mubalik na sila dire according to schedule of the major events for ASEAN on May 2026. So I think they're making way na prepare sila on the big event. Okay, naamang gyud ang Leaders Summit. I think if you talk about leaders, they were talking about mga Prime Minister and the Prince of Brunei or I think that would be the date. But mo na nakabutang sa schedule here. But katong imong mentioned that they were in Bohol. I don't know. It's not on the schedule. We're talking about Cebu City raman. So with the whole Philippines, I'm not so sure.
So sa Cebu,
City, it's 28 to 31st.
Okay.
Dili sila.
Mahuman sa Cebu, naslaylay nga do ang lugar sa Pilipinas or wala?
I guess so. Let me try to look into that because I wasn't really looking at paying attention. Yeah.
So if you want to join in our conversation, kung namoy mga experiences namin hibawan about the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit here in the Philippines, to be exact, here in Cebu. Kung naba mo naduol diha sa wherever the event is, maybe you can. All I know is nga daghan kayo traffic nga nahitabo in the past couple of days. In fact, nakakita ko ni Ralph og ni complain sa mga ruta sa padung sa Busay kay murag na ako ni sinulog sa Marco Polo.
Right.
O napo ko ni sinulog dito sa kaning unsang lugar, Ralph?
Ginoo ko Lord. Diyos ko Lord.
Katong the edge katong sa tong the cliff dito tapita.
Yeah.
Oh, so nagsinulog po sila dito na traffic na sira ang daan.
Yeah.
I think to show the guests from the ASEAN how we do sinulog.
Right. So, I think I got the schedule here, Jig. Kaning the whole schedule for 2026 for ASEAN. There's the Karon, which is happening because there's approximately about 650 meetings that was happening throughout the year. So the schedule will be from kaning Karon until maybe late this year, November, no? So ASEAN Tourism Forum is happening now, 28th to 30th sa Cebu. Ang atuang nahitabo karon, I think that's the opening ceremony at Mactan Shrine. I think 28th na ba taron? Are we on the 28th?
Yep.
Exactly. Today is the opening of the ceremony at the Mactan Shrine. And then from today till the 30th, travel exchange at the Mactan Expo Center. And then the 29th would be the Tourism Ministerial Meeting and Tourism Conference. 28 to 29, the Foreign Ministers Retreat in Cebu City. Abot na sa Dapita. And then, uli na sila. That would be on the May na pud matiwas ang 48th ASEAN Summit, which is attended by the leaders, mo tong gi-mention. And on the 24th of July, naana po a special foreign ministers meeting for the 50th anniversary of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation. Mo yung gisigutan ba? Para way mga gubot-gubot ning mga nasura. And then on the September 2026 na ay Ministers on Energy meeting. So maigo gyud ang kuan nila, murag ang atong WTE nga discussion siguro diri. So September 2026. And then the next one would be November 2026, the 49th ASEAN Summit. I think this is East Asia Summit. So recent ongoing meetings, mo na ni Ron, meeting with the senior officials ilahang ASEAN digital ministers. January 12 to 16, and then we got senior officials meeting on energy, or we call some katong sa Bohol Jiggy Juice. That was January 20th up to the 22nd.
Mayong buntag ni Maria Oliver, thank you so much for the gift, right?
Oh,
wow. Thank you. Si gitaganti og Rose.
Ayun.
Wow, thank you so much.
So,
so kung naamoy katampo, if you guys want to join in the conversation, just feel free to do so. Okay, among gisgutan karong adlaw is the ASEAN, or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit. This is a gathering of all of the all 10 ASEAN members, member nations of the region. Like I mentioned earlier, Malaysia, the Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, Brunei, Vietnam, Laos, Myanmar, and of course soon East Timor. Ang tan-aw nako sa lista ba sa kaning mga nasud ba? Ang pinaka perceived and I think this is kaning expected, perceived to be number one in terms of economic might is probably Singapore, right? Akto ba ko Bayjay, murag Singapore man pinakakusgan diri nga nasod in terms of kaning economy ba. But I think Vietnam is also a formidable force now, di ba? Murag grabe man kayo ni rise ang Vietnam.
Yeah.
And of course,
kagid sila.
kaning Thailand mo maging nga to ang idol when it comes to tourism.
Yeah.
Kay maabot ko ni og 30-40 million tourists annually gud ang ato adres Pilipinas dili makabot og double digits. It's never reached double digits. So mo na ato ang
Muna ganahan ako hisgutan na to Jiggy Juice kay tourism forum masad ron sa mga ASEAN nations ba.
So what can we learn from these nations ba? Kaning like I said, tourism giant like Thailand and even Malaysia or Singapore. Unsa may imong tan-aw ni Bajay kay ang ako ang common complaint yun madungga. I don't know if you guys agree with me.
Yeah.
But ang usa gyud sa pinaka dako nga factor ngano nga malupigan gyud aning mga nasura is the cost. Mahal ko nung kayo diri sa Pinas. In fact, my son was just in Singapore just a few days ago. Yang utanang ko niya, like, sa yung pagkaon niya, dong. Padali ko picture niya sa mga pagkaon. Barato dyan kayong pagkaon dito. Mga hotel stays, barato. And so on and so forth. So, akong pangutana ba is this fact or fiction?
It is fact. It is fact. Like, in fact, a lot of foreigners that has been here, katong mga global
vagabonds, good,
travelers, good. They would not recommend to stay longer here in Philippines. Pwede rin mo moagi. That's what they recommend. In fact, they've been recommending Thailand, Vietnam. You get Whole Foods there. You get kanang mga pagkaon nga tarong ba. I'm not really saying that our food here is not to be proud of. Pero ang tinuod magod, tanawan nimo na sila dito. Na sila yung mga parehas sigud na to. Natay mga gitawag ni mog street vendors or let's say kanang kilid-kilid nga kaunan. Ang pangutana unsa sila pagkaon, unsa tagpila. And if you look at their restaurants ana sad unsa gipang serve, sige pang maligya. So usa ako mahatag nga example ana is tanawang niyo mga kilid-kilid. Unsay naglata diha barbecue, undi magani pongko. Well, sabi mo pagkauna yung taon Ginoo. Kung mo iglalabay sa mga nasod yung taon? You know?
Nga nakaingon man ka na, Bajay? Kada na ba ay pagbinungan ng pungko-pungko? Wag na, napagay ko na pungko-pungko.
Oo na ron. Ako Jiggy Juice.
Dili na iglalabay, oy, ka na pungko-pungko.
Nisulti lang ko sinuod kay...
Grabiya, so di mo, nasakitan mo sa guwato, Bajay.
Sulti lang ko sinuod. Bahalag masakitan ta kay usahay ka na.
Kami yan ang pungko-pungko. Kamu dia, usa man inyong tanaw, nga si Bajay kuno, kana ko nung pungko-pungko kuno, iglalabay ko na nga pagkaon sa ubang mga nasod sa ASEAN.
Man,
nganong nakaingon man kana Bajay?
Bitter pill to swallow, man. Pasensya kayo ninyong tanan.
Ako, kung naay pungko-pungko, ako ginang videohan, ako ginang picturean, gikan ko ga pickleball pag Sabado ni pungko-pungko dayon ko. So, akong pangutana Bajay, nganong nakaingon man kana? Kamo sa diha mga kaigalaan, maybe you can defend or
dipensahin ninyo ang Pilipinas.
Ang pungko, ay lang ang Pilipinas. Kilisod ka na depensa ang Pilipinas. Ang pungko-pungko lang.
Kana. Sige.
This is where I chose a place to die on, and this is the hill to die on. The pungko-pungko hill. Ikaw, Bajay.
Actually, ako, Jiggy Juice, I'm not against pungko-pungko. Akong pungko-pungko, kaunon ako kanang lumpia tawgi.
Kana.
I am not against pungko-pungko. I am with pungko-pungko. In fact, na ay mamaligyan.
You're also with pungko-pungko?
Mukha ako pungko-pungko. Bulo-bulang, singkamas, o Ricardo's, walay karne. Basta di lang yung karne. Pasensya kayo yung tanan kay.
Vegan man siya.
Utan monggo society ako. So, ako ang pasabot is look into the context nga. Di ba manghinanay magkag-isda, Jiggy Juice? Di ba hinanian man na nimo? Hinanaihan man na nimo? Kuhaan nimo siya og tinai ba?
Oh yeah, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you look at both, you're doing the same thing. Kuhaan nimo, where do you go? Do you cook that? Except for abdo. Mukha magkag-abdo sa mga parts isda, right?
Dili.
Di ba labay man na ninyo?
Correct.
And everywhere else, panglabay na nila.
Wala isda ang pungko-pungko. Good.
Abi ang akong pasambot ba, the idea nga imong kuan. And you go by other countries.
Ay lang na i-compare of isda ko. Isda ang pungko-pungko.
Ang ako ang nakita na to is atong kauno ng tungol, atong kauno na ang tinais manok, no? Which I do acknowledge that, and I respect everybody that's eating that. Nisulti lang gyud ninyo. Nga ilabay na nila kasagaran. Pero the good side of that is mahog nga tiloko na lang yun nato unsay angay matilok, which is actually very utilitarian in a way, no? Hot doon yun ba? Utilize yun. So ang point of view is sa ubang nasod, wakay na sila nagtaginot anang mga butanga mo nang iglalabay na nila. Nya kita gihimo gina natong industries. But balik ko sa katong presyohay, Jiggy Juice. The reason nga nung usagyod nga ako ang nabantayan nga mumahal ta is because we are being run by mostly multinationals. Not taga-atua. Awa ha? Dili man ko Cebu City siguro mahatag example. Tanawa na hitabo sa Iyaw karon, Siargao. Tagpila na ron ang rates sa mga tao dito. In fact, even Bianca Gonzalez, what's her name now, sa iyang family name, reklamo siya ni mention gyud siya, comment gyud siya nga. So man may pagwadto na lang og Thailand ani. Mauram ni mas barato pang Thailand. Yan napakakuha kag barato nga rate sa eroplano. You fly in an advance booking, then you're good. Mas gamay pa ka gasto. And the only thing lang mawa nimo is that you don't get to talk to your own, to a national language we've been used to. You'll be in another place, but you look the same. People look the same.
Are you saying kaning mahal ang
Ato,
Siargao?
Mahal.
By the way, maayong adlaw ni JC Segovia, pungko-pungko. Parisan ko og Mountain Dew. So
piti. Sige.
So kanang giingon nimo nga mahal ang Siargao.
Yeah.
Naay mga turista diya by Jai nga they only intend to stay for a week.
Yeah.
Or two to catch a wave sa Siargao, but some of them have been stuck there.
Yeah.
Stuck in the sense nga they have loved it there, that they've been there, they've been overstaying for months if not years. Makakita gyud mga kuan by Jai, mga turista dito nga magmulingkod na murag Pinoy oy. Moro na maginana mopalit og kape nga 3-in-1 ni mopalit anang kanang surf bread bitaw.
Yeah. They've gotten Philippinized.
Na Philippinized na sila, so unya ang ako sang tanaw dito sa presyo dito by Jai, unlike Cebu, unlike Boracay, wala pa na overrun yet by these multinationals. Ang ako ang initial perception ba, I was there just about a little over a year ago.
November, you were there.
So wala pa kayo siya overrun by the multinationals, and I think they're trying to be careful and not make the same mistake or mistakes that we've made here in Cebu and in Boracay nga mura grabe na kayo ka mura overrun by multinationals, but there's also a good side to having these big companies, because they know what they're doing, di ba?
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Always man.
They've done this multiple times.
Yeah.
They're international brands, di ba? Muna siya makalure og mga tourists siguro because they have a network of connections and offices and all of that stuff. So sayo na kayo nga apilon og baligya ang Cebu panalitan.
Yeah.
So akong pangutanan nimo, unsa pa nakangila di ani kung naay multinationals ba diyan nga nakaingon maka nga dili na maayo.
The downside lang siguro. I'm not saying that wala good totally downside good.
Correct.
But on the downside ana is that sila magud ang definitely maka-affect sa presyo. Makahatag sila sa different value. Valuation na to ba nga ang ilahang presyo mo taas gyud kay sila man may ngalan and so on and so forth. Palit kag kape ni kaning store, kaning namaligig kape ning usa nga ilado globally. Lahi gyud presyo kaysa si local coffee ni Makiamus. Di ba? Something like that ba na they somehow do the same process, but because the guy is local. And mo lang sa ni akong iawhag pud sa kasagaran nga we can actually innovate in our own. Like example, pungko-pungko, di man mo mapresyo og mahal gyud. Can you price pungko-pungko in a very...
Actually, by Jai, it's good that you mentioned and brought back the conversation.
Yeah.
Sa mga hotels o restaurants, nakikita ko sa waterfront, sa New Star, naa sila kaning pungko package. So mura nag-ilahang gi-glorify ba?
Right.
Street food ba? Murag, what they want to do, Manggod, if you're a tourist, Manggod, is you want to be able to taste street food.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, if you're a tourist, you want to have a little danger in your life, right? Ana man ang, di ba, ikaw, adto kang Thailand, di ba? Inahan mo ka nga mutkaon.
Tilaw ka sa scorpion, tilaw ka sa...
Mukaon ka what the locals do, di ba? There's a saying, do what the Romans do, di ba?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Right.
So ikaw, ganahan po mo. So ang gibuhat sa mga hotels karon o restaurants, nasa lay pungko-pungko. So they call it as such also ba. So it's like
I saw that, yeah.
Gi-elevate nila ang
That's true.
Ang pungko-pungko.
That's true.
So back
to that topic,
pungko-pungko bangano man nga dili man kaganag pungko-pungko by jay
nga. No, it's not that.
Man ang pungko-pungko.
I'm not saying di ko ganahan. In fact, ningon lagi ko nga.
Pero unsa may dili
ningon lagi ko ako lagi yung statement diha kay ang ato ang gi-promote kay iglalabay, but it doesn't mean na example, it's the same as people don't actually eat cockroaches or frogs in other countries.
Na may culture nga mo kaano.
Nasa tas Pilipinas actually sa bukid.
Crickets. Kana mo kung food is cultural.
Cultural gina siya.
Dili man na ingon nga kaning ngilad, ngilad na ana whatever. So depende rin na sa kultura sa imuhang nasod nga nakay kanon. Dili man na siya ingon nga nga kaning ngilad na or nindot na. Depende sa kultura sa imong nasod. So,
I mean, going back to that, I'm not absolutely looking down on our pagpupungko. In fact, again, I'm a consumer of the puso, definitely with
advocate jugos pungko-pungko.
Partido
pungko-pungko kung naamgali eleksyon pohon-pohon yang mahimo kog party list, partido pungko-pungko gigo.
Balik ta sa katong imong gingon nga nana na sa hotel, ni mention makagduha ka lugar. Mo-mention sa ko sa Puso Village. Kaya ako nitabang kog curate nila ang atuang puso na soft ceremony nila, soft opening. Unya makita gyud nimo nga ang ilang mga pagkaon diha, Jiggy Juice, is promoting that which is local gyud.
Okay.
So inana ba nga, we have an alley, we have an kuan. Ang ako lang yung gina-discourage is ay lang yung kayo niyo ika na bang imonotonos bitaw. Kapag ka na monotonos kayo nga tong pamagi nga usara gyud ni diri puro barbecue, galaray na dia. Murag larsan ba? Puro pungko-pungko sa na dia. Murag may kita mo zoning diyang napita. Pero kung imuha ng Tagalog diversity sa unsa na diya, may tabo, marabag ka ng mga merkado ba?
By compared to the
tabo,
our neighbors in the ASEAN, hisgot man kag pungko-pungko, hisgot man kag curation of food. Kay ang ako kung pananaw sa pagkaon sa Cebu, especially kay Cebu man tang atong hisgutan, is kanang medyo dili man kaayo ta diverse, di ba? Kay kung ano nimo Cebu, lechon man gyud na, di ba? Lechon. So mga turista, mga tanak kag turista. What do you come here for? What you want to taste when you're in Cebu? Lechon matik, di ba?
Right.
Matik, wala mo hisgot og dinuguan or unsa pa na diha, di ba? So, how diverse is Cebuano food in the first place? Dili ba kanang pungko-pungko og lechon mo na mo gyud sa basically?
I don't think lechon is actually uniquely ours.
Correct.
You go everywhere around the world. The tribes would do that as a feast.
So unsa man sa Cebu day bay?
Ang ako lang
gid. Unsa man pag-curate dito sa puso?
Ang naagya po ihaw good kay ang ihaw padugo mo man part of the ritual. And ipangayo ganis mananambal kay baboy. So anyway, ang ako pasabot lang is that ang lechon is not really uniquely special as a feast or anything culinary feat, but ang akong makita kung kita lang islander community nagkabalibutan tagdagat, I would really recommend anything that is found on the ocean aside from just that type of fish or this type of fish, everything else. Kanang atong sugba tuwa kilaw is actually known as our heritage good nga food. Sugba tuwa kilaw gina. That encaps already. In fact karon kusog kayo ng mga tihi-tihi kana bitaw mga sea urchins bitaw.
So you're saying kanang seafoods is actually more
representing us,
more representative of
our
Cebuano cuisine.
Exactly. Aside from the documents that was actually done by the historians, that's the one thing that is actually abundant in a way that even if people do the overfishing and so on, it would still thrive. Because the ocean is something that you really cannot, you know.
I actually heard somebody once say that ingon siya nga the Philippines is not an agricultural country. It is a fishing country.
Yes.
Yeah. So kanang ato ang mga seafoods is actually our main source of livelihood.
Exactly. That's why we do preservation on ta.
Pero by number 1, mahal na kayong seafood karon.
Mahal kay.
Number 2, we don't really cook it creatively. Kanang sugba tuwa kilaw, it's very basic, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Sugba tuwa kilaw, more good, 'di ba? Like tanaw nimo ang ato ang pagkaon diri sa Cebu ni evolve ba ni improve ba pero kanang sugba tuwa kilo dugay na magkailan
Dugay na.
naa magyapon na.
Nagyapon.
So tanaw nimo, does it need a little kaning improvement unsa man?
I don't think it has to improve. I just think that it has to be, what do you call this, kanang patronized.
Okay.
Kay mura magug na tungod sa ka normal ba kay magtinuwa sa balay. Mura na gwa. Magkinilaw si kuan. But it's actually being celebrated kung na mga gathering sa family. Wingon na, uy, nakoy kilawin dire. Nakoy nani, nana. Musam ng isda, kanang kuan, kanang say tawagan ni tamban or something like. I mean, naagid sila yung mga description unsa na. If that is given somehow some form of value ba nga, ala, salamat kayo. That's actually ours, and a lot of foreign people, when they come, they really experience us. Sige, lechon, o sa pa na, fried foods, man, mayroon naman na sila, oh yeah, I'm familiar of it, kasuwain ko na sa mua. And everywhere else, like, karon, especially going back to the kaning mga multinationals that are coming here and then doing the trade. Some gyupsal is all over the place.
Maayong adlaw bila Nika Acedo nya Bayjay and kuya kaning Raf. Unsa may voice message, what does that mean? Pwede sila makasend og voice message? How does that work?
Gara-gara na to kay I think kailangan jud si Oliver ba kinsay nag-comment nila sa ni siya. Wow, my voice ang comments. Wala lang, joke ra gud.
Okay. So wala dili pwede maka-voice comment right now, at least.
Usually we don't, you know.
So, but if you want to comment and make your thoughts and ideas be heard, i-post lang sa ato ang Facebook page.
Yeah.
Or sa YouTube man siya, asa man siya?
YouTube, Facebook, and sa atong TikTok live.
So, just join us in our conversation. Maayong adlaw nimo diha. JC Segovia ingon siya, basta daugon, sausawan, sili, pungko-pungko, budget 100 pesos busog na.
Yeah.
Homegrown cook, tag 2.5 daw kada basket kuno. para negosyo siguro na siya.
Yeah, nanay. Muna ron nga muusab na siya kung tagaag value sa tao. Like imo nila usa ka kanang gitawag nila unsa na tawag ng basket bay kanang
baloyot.
Kana they call that kalimut ko singalan. Basta if you make that intricate, tagaan mo effort mo nindot. But right now as I segue ko gamay. Nakoy kita nauron ng mga taga kanang Commission on Heritage or Tourism. Tourism Commission. Naaron diri sa ASEAN ba na ilang gi-welcome ang mga delegates sa Tourism Forum. Something that really makapangawat yung ulo ba. I don't want to show you this because definitely makita mo. But picture out barong Tagalog, kanang babae nga nay gitawag nimo kanang pako-pako skilled mga babae. As you
say pako-pako ba?
Kana bang nahi
amurag burot-burot?
Imelda ba?
Defik nga unsa tawag na kanang murag Maria Clara?
Maria Clara look ba?
Nga naman, what about?
That's also one thing that I'm really a little bit on my I'm speaking my mind out loud ba.
Nga naman unsa may problema nimo?
It doesn't represent us.
Nakay problema sa pungko-pungko, nakay problema sa kaming kaning Maria Clara ang outfit, unsa magide bay?
Yeah, ang ako
pabahagon minimo bay?
Ang ako ang pasabot dili ko ganahan nga magbahag ta or
unsa
ko.
Unsa man day mong ganahan di ay?
Wa man gud ta nakahimamat sa unsa gyud ang atong panulob. At diba, I showed it here on the show sa Bayjaya. Every single time ko mo ang atong itsura sa atong mga tao sa una. If I'm gonna show you a Maria Clara compared to a Hara Humamay, which is the asawa ni Humabon as portrayed and depicted as they described her. Tiyaw man storya, hey! Baka ingon gigo ninyo nga asa may mas maanyag. Asa may makaingon ka nga, loh, ngiga. You know why? Kanang barong Tagalog, that's actually not uniquely Pinoy. Mga Meksikano, maginana man po.
Pero ASEAN magud bay. So
Gani.
ang atong mga silingan katong imong gihisgutan nga organically Filipino dili sa na organic sa tuwag yun kay gikan man sa atong mga silingan po nang hisgot ka nga katong migration of peoples, di ba? Nga gikan man ni sa mga atong mga silingan, di ba? So kung magpakita ka og katong imong gipakita nato nga mga outfit sa mga early Filipinos dili sa na unique kay
Actually, what I'm trying to show kanang akong gipakita nga mga hulagway. Moto ang sa diri sa mga kabisayan nga mga isla pulo. Naamagud tay mga established na nga mga hulagway sa Mindanao, let's say Datibole, kita gyud ka. Sa Lake Cebu, dito sa Ifugao kay bawo gyud ka kanang sikat nga bahag, kita tanan nga bahag man kita mga tribes. Ang ato adri tapis natay mga podong Purong and so on.
So unique na sa Pinas dili sa
that's uniquely us as a nation when we were seen by the colonizers. Unfortunately, giusab ang atong panulog.
So dili bahag di ay?
Dili, I mean, we don't call it bahag lang for bahag sake nga magbitay, nga magbrief, nga makitang lubot. Ang point is that we've gone through that stage. Ni go na ta into a very, very intricate, advanced way of wearing na niabot na sa point nga
so are you
fashionable kay mga tao sa una.
Are you saying that they're misrepresenting the nation?
I would say we are missing out on a big picture here. ASEAN man eh. I'll challenge everybody in tourism. I'll challenge everybody in heritage. Let's stop promoting something which we are viewed as a slave. You look at the history of Barong. You look at the history of your Barutsaya.
But that's part of who we are.
That's part of who we are.
That's whether we like it or not, di ba?
I want to say this. I want to ask you this. Would you like to be proud and to show everybody that you have been a slave, or would you like to be proud and to show everybody this is who we are?
Well, if
I'll leave it there.
If pananglitan slave ko, then that's part of who I am.
Right now, that's what the Philippines is going on right now. We're still slaves.
No. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging your past.
Yeah.
Ana man katunguna. So ana ko katunguna.
That's true.
In fact, it's even better nga you acknowledge your past para you will do something about it and it won't happen again. But you should be, wala man tay labot anang atong kagahapon.
But do you have to wear that every single time you're supposed to present ourselves
to
the world? Let's just say Southeast Asian nations.
We're not wearing that every single time. I don't wear barong.
No, because right now
time.
they're representing ASEAN nations and they're representing that which we have been our past, being, wearing barong. Kaysa una, kanang material ng barong makita man na imong inner.
Yeah, we know we
para way matago.
Dili makatago hinagibyan, di ba?
Exactly. Itong mga habak, itong mga sundang pinuti. So they were very afraid. That's why they made us wear something transparent and it became an eloquent way of wearing according to the Spanish eye or the friar's eye. So the point here is that we want to really show that
just because we're wearing it doesn't mean we are slaves. It's just acknowledging who we were.
You're acknowledging who we were, and you're still presenting that right now. When you're presenting to other nations and you're presenting into global forums, but what about the ones that we were really known for? That was drawn by Antonio Pigafetta in his Boxer Codex. That's the one thing that I want people to know, that the cosplayers are succeeding so much right now in presenting that, but unfortunately it's still being
what are they presenting?
Ignored. The pre-colonial wear.
Okay.
The ones that we wore, the ones that gave us royalty, the ones that gave us dignity.
Okay.
So if you ask me, Jiggy,
unsa may itsura sa mga outfit ba?
I think I've shown that here in the show.
I-describe ko na.
Di man ta makakuan. Like gold, gold necklace, gold bracelets, maybe sometimes gold teeth, called bansil. And we got some crowning ataras for the women. And we got some slashes, which is intricately designed and woven dresses. Now, if I talk to a fashion designer about it, the mind blows for a fashion designer, man. It's just that right now, in their heads, it's just the barot, saya, the barong, Tagalog.
Part of the conversation that we should have also is namagud day gitawag og accessibility, marketability, and also kaning the way to promote something ba?
Yeah.
Kung nakay usa ka butang ba nga grabe kay
I wanna show this, bruv. Can you show this to the camera also if it's okay?
Grabe kay ka complicated.
Yeah.
Unya paghuman lisod kayo i-describe niya paghuman.
Can you?
Lisod ka i-market.
Yeah.
We know nga the human condition is very complicated. The Filipino past is very complicated and very intricate and all of that stuff. Pero kung lisod kay siya ibaligya bay,
it's not hard to sell that.
Lisod kay siya ibatol.
Yeah.
Basig na magusik-usik lang ta sa atong laway o sa atong resources nga to in this economy, especially when we talk about tourism and promoting the nation. Maybe there's a way to promote something that is easier to promote.
Right.
Unya kung ganahan ka, if you really want to go to the rabbit hole of unsa ato ang gipangsulob atong una, then maybe you can go to maybe a museum or maybe maybe a book about it. Rabbit hole naman na ba?
That's where I don't agree with you, Jiggy
So
Juice.
kinanglan nga ang imuhang ipakita is the one that's easy to understand, to digest.
Yeah.
And kung ganahan ka nga mosabot og usa ka nasod fully, intricately, then you go buy the book or maybe you go to a museum, di ba?
Oh my goodness.
Kasabot ka?
That's a sad fact about it. Because you say kutob lang gyud sa museum and everything has to be still art. Everything has to be dead, lifeless form of a representation.
Oh, so show the photo. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think
there you go.
Raf will show that. So look at it right now. This is just an example of how a typical pa siya, di pa gini siya the hara type. This is not the royalty type. It's a typical woman who's wearing her own pre-colonial and Visayan Philippine representation of who we were. Look at what we have. We have the belt, bakus, the tapis, the skirt. We got the top, which is called the kamagi, sash. Kasikas means the accessories. You got the earrings called patanaw. You got the bulak, the flower on the headwear, and the way they groom themselves. They bathe a lot every single day. So sapa.
So this is before
the Spanish came here and totally made us barbaric representation. The male, how about the male guy? I sent you the male, Raf. So you'll see you saw the female, nakita na yung babae. Now we're gonna show you the male because we're talking about ASEAN here, man. We want to talk about the same resonance we are of who we are as ASEAN nation.
Yeah.
We don't want to be representing that, hey, we're proud to be slaves because right now we're still slaves in our system and the way the system works, we cannot get away from that.
I think the word is not proud to be slaves. We are proud of our past, not proud to be slaves in particular. In fact, because we were slaves and we were able to overcome the slavery, then it makes us even prouder. If we don't acknowledge that we were down, we were disoppressed, and then we were able to overcome it, and then the story becomes
we're not definitely denying it. We're not denying it though.
The story becomes incomplete.
Yeah.
Di ba? Nganong ni ascend man ka, nganong ni rise man ta because you were down.
You were down,
right?
huh?
So
Okay.
acknowledging that is important also. Dili siya ingon nga imong i-edit sa history, di ba?
Of course not. We're not editing it. But here you go.
There it is.
There's a regular guy this time, a nobility. I mean, it's not really the regular guy. He's a noble guy. So medyo he's up there. And you look at how he wears and then carrying along with him his kampilan. Because they're nobilities, man.
Vietnam man iyang
No, because we are relatives. We are...
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All of the...
Can you stay?
All of these things that we're looking at is actually very common within our friends in the ASEAN nations,
yes,
diba?
But this is not common when you carry the kampilan and you have
What's
the
a kampilan?
the sword.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that's uniquely ours. The takukong may only be the thing, the common. And then Cambodia may actually represent a little bit close to what we wear, but not in a combination the way we wear as a whole. Okay. So if you see somebody like this and then the woman like earlier walking around and presenting to yourself, ain't we relatable as ASEAN yun ni? Di kay
pero kana magong mga butang imong hisgutan ba, you have to have read the book, the story, Yan, moingon kang ASEAN yun ni kung wala sila nakasabot, wala sila nakabasa,
Mao na
wala sila
nakaapan.
nakakita, di ba?
Mao na siya.
So, kung wala sila gitudluan ana. So
na sa education.
No, pero
Unfortunately, it wasn't given prior attention and much more mainstreaming.
So you it's good nga people like you are here to help promote it, right?
Yeah.
Pero we have to tell the story because we're all storytellers, man, good,
Precisely.
right? Paguman kung mo magpakita ka sa picture without context, without stories.
Yeah.
Lisod kay sabton, di ba?
That's true.
Nya kanang ato ang barong Tagalog pananglitan, we understand the story. Kasabutan at kay ba kang atong una kanang barong nga material para sihag para makitaan blah 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 and all that stuff.
But that story just came now, Jiggy. That story just came now. Kanang what it is really. So una gitabun-tabunan man na.
I knew that story when I was a kid, right? So akong pasabot is we need to tell the other side also of the story. I mean, maybe not even the other side, but another story.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, we are diverse people.
Right.
We're a very rich. We have a very rich culture, and our outfits show it.
And that barong parutsaya doesn't actually show the diversity we are.
Unsa may paliton ni Jade Maluya? Unsa may paliton nimo? Anong bibilhin mo po? Anong bibilhin mo po?
I think yung attire.
Attire.
The attire. Oh yeah.
Katong imong
Let me know.
Katong outfit nga imong
suluban ta mo ana. We'll wear that.
Outfit nga imong gipakita ba?
Yeah.
Where do you usually buy those things?
Actually, if you look at it, the same material goes into kanang makitaan bitaw nimo ipamaligya the malong, the sarong. All these are the same materials. It's just that it has been sourced like a specific kanang because we're looking at traders. The traders from Indonesia, Malaysia that came in here. And then aside from our woven materials, let's say if you know the habul, that recently called habul and or habul, and ones that are really intricately done in the northern province of Ifugao and then the southern the weavers, the dream weavers, Mindanao. So the exchange is there. So ang ato ang pattern nga recorded was the floral patterns because we love to be with flowers sa atong kwan. And if you start talking about story, Jiggy just kahanag story na to. So kanang mga baligya nga mga malong, you can choose the pattern that you like and you can wear that. And there are a lot of workshops around it, and later on we'll provide some activities and events in that line. So ako lang side, on my part here, having been, relating myself to our mga people in government, I think sila man pud wala bitaw sila nag-count nila. I think we need something like that.
Actually, I have a question here by Jai. I think this is an important question. Ngano man by Jai?
Yeah.
Ngano man nga ang prevailing perception sa Filipino outfit is kanang gihisgot nila og kaning barong Tagalog.
Oh yeah.
Barong og kaning Maria Clara, di ba?
Yeah.
Nganong mo man ay
You know why?
Midaog nganong
You know why? You just mentioned that earlier and I just repeated the word bahag. Everybody thought that we were so barbaric, that we're so naive, and we were just naked the whole time. Think about that. Right, wala. Okay. Nobody knew that we looked like that. The one that we just saw.
Nganong barong lagi?
Mo lagi na kay everything that you just saw today, the male version, the female version, we're not there. People thought nagubo na ta. Right? Isn't that right? And the only reason why we got civilized was because we wore these. I danced the cultural dances. It's called the segment is called. The segment is called the Barrio Fiesta. So the Barrio Fiesta represents that of us, which was the really, really hardcore slave that we were just pleasing all the time.
So I'll repeat my question. Maybe you didn't hear my question properly. Kana manggong history go, di ba? They say the history is written by the victors.
Oh yes,
or whatever, right?
Definitely.
And akong pangutana ba is nganong mo man ni daog nga perception, nganong dili man kanang imong gipakita. Kung tinuod gyud to nga imong gisulti nga mo to gisulob sa mga Filipinos, maybe that was just a minority or maybe that was a majority. I don't know. We don't know.
It is, man.
So my question is ngano man kinsa man ang nagbaligya ana nga idea nga barong ug Maria Clara ang gisulob sa mga Pilipino or dili man kato imong gipakita. Kung namang gali nag-advocate para ni ato, asa man to sila when history was being written. Nganong wala man sila.
Ano say? You keep repeating a lie, it becomes a truth. So let's go back to the whole idea nga. Bahag manggod mo. Wa mo gisuloban ta mo. Now you're part of us. Now we can start to recognize you as a civilized being.
Who?
Who are they that made us wear clothes? The Spanish people. The friars. They want to civilize us. Kana inyuhang pagampo sa kahoy. Dili na, it's antichrist. Kanang imong pagkuan sa bato, wala na.
Mga Gnostic. Katong mga
the animistic ways na to. O nganong nangadji makasapa, dili na pamaagis Ginoo, diretso tas Ginoo. Madiretso na tas Ginoo, harang Ginoo, usarang Ginoo, cross. And all these things. So really, a lot of it was lost. In fact, a lot of our connection to nature was lost. In relation to that.
Also may connection sa gisulob.
Sa gisulob, because that's the same way we've been programmed to do, to just follow that we were not.
Wala din nakigbisog ba sa representation sa gisulob sa mga Pilipino and what is the national outfit, which is the Barong Tagalog and the Maria Clara. Ang theory ani ba?
Yeah.
Hear me out ha. Ang ato amagong history as a nation, kadaghanan ang atong mga leaders from the beginning until even now more or less is taga Luzon.
Right.
Sometimes taga Visayas, di ba? Kani man gud imong gihisgot nga mga outfit ba? Again, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you have to hear me out lang of my ignorance about what people wore at that time or in the past. Ang akong pananaw man gud, mura mo siya medyo Mindanao kayo nga look ba? Ang akong perception. So akong pangutana, could it be nga because most of the people who were running the nation from the moment of our independence is dili man taga didtong lugara, so murang ang pervasive nga perception is ang atong gipangsulob kanang mga barong word Tagalog, di ba? So
true.
Could it be that also?
Also that, because the capital is set forth over there. But if they start talking about the indigenous, then normally what you would normally see is the Ifugao.
Correct.
The war, di ba? We tend to also somehow overlook that there are the southern part na ay mga nindot kay mga wear po diri. That's why recently na discover plus pagid grabe kay lang heritage in the weaving called the Dream Weavers for Tetiboli. Somehow inana. I agree with you on that. So mo na sila ra pa nag-establish na. So it's called Barong Tagalog because it never was called Barong Bisaya. There's no such thing as Barong Bisaya.
Correct. So could it be it has politics has a lot to do with it?
It is politics. Yeah, I agree. So I'm sorry if I might not be pointing out a lot about the current, but what I was trying to say before was because of that. Because sila mga colonizers before. They're the ones in charge, and if you don't follow the rules, then you will be dubbed as whatever.
In Luzon ba? Like in Luzon, like nganong were they also wearing the same things, the entire islands of the Philippines?
They also have their own unique clothing.
Like for example sa Luzon, unsa man ilang outfits put it back in the pre-colonial era?
It will be close because Austronesians wise, we were very much wearing and adapting to our kwan. In fact, if you've seen, I will promote this movie. Si Vic Soto, ako ang bossing.
Si Bossing,
Ato ang bossing. Vic Soto and ato ang Papa Piolo, si Papa P. They have a movie called The Kingdom. Na-action ako kwan. Nilubad na ko. Isugra man kayo tastanan. So, sa movie nga The Kingdom, it was a depiction, Jiggy Juice. If you try to look at it as a Netflix, it is a depiction kung wala ta masakop daw sa mga Espanyol. So, unsa kuno ang ngalan sa atong nasod, unsa nga atong gobyerno, unsay pamaagi sa ato ang mga ekonomiya sa sistema. So, dito makita na nimo as a little bit of a visualizing ba what could have been kung wa ta masakop. Dito makita nimo unsa sila manunot na modernize na sila, like moving forward to 2025 or something nga unsay lang gisulot karon nga wa sila sakop. So you will still see this. you will see the patterns of our elders. Elder system mo na to nga patik. Or in the north, it's called batok. So na dito, nindot siya kayo na pagka-present and the way they wear, na dito influence good of what could have been. Yung unsay gisulot sa mga Tagalog. In fact, they call themselves Lakan, the leader. Lakan. And then here is down south is the Datus, sa Bisaya, and then also adopted sa Mindanao, the Datus. And then
Maayong adlaw ni Jeff Gutierrez. Thank you so much for watching.
Maayong
Maraming
adlaw.
salamat po sa ating mga kaibigan mga taga doon, taga Luzon.
Taga doon,
taga Luzon.
The real name is Lusong.
Pasensya na po, hindi kami masyadong
magaling magtagalog.
pero sinubukan namin, di ba?
Sinusubukan namin.
Maayong hapon sa atong
ang aming sarili.
Mayong udto sa atong mga kaigalaan nga nagandam-andam na sa inyo lang mga tagsa ka mga pagkaon, right?
Pagkaon, paniud to ng day.
Paniudto na,
Paniudto na.
So kanong na mga nagpungko-pungko.
Ay.
Maayong udto na
Tita
diya.
Daan,
Pagbantay-bantay mo diya. Kay si Bayjay ba murag iglalabay ko no nga pagkaon ko. Bayjay kaning kung ang barong Tagalog ug ang Maria Clara is not the complete picture of what we were wearing sa atong pagkaon ba? Sa atong pagkaon, ang ato ang mahibawan gyud is kanang sa Cebu gali lechon, di ba? Unya kaning naatay gitawag nimo og pungko-pungko nga lalabay mo na atong mga mabalaan, di ba? Mo na atong maobserbahan. Pero kung if you had your way ba, niingon man ka nga seafood, di ba? Seafood kanang sugba tuwa kilaw.
Kana.
Pero dili man kaayo siya mura og
accessible,
innovative ba in the sense nga unlike kanang let's just say Thai cuisine nga daghang spices and all of that stuff, di ba? Sa ato murag simple ra kayo ba?
Lagi.
Is that representative of Filipino cuisine, kanang sugba tuwa kila, Cebuano cuisine, Visayas cuisine, or is there something else?
It is actually very representative of what and who we are truly, that we are very, very direct and practical. Unsa man ang sugba, kuha ka, na kay kayong giandam, or bato na init, ibutang na sa babaw. You have food. Tuwa. Kanay mong gisugba diya, og tan-aw nimo ganahan nimo butang kag tubig, magbukal kag tubig, butang kag kamatis, sibuyas dahon, espada, luya, butang dia, pabukala, nga muhumok-humok ang unod, you have it. Tanga kasing gamay.
Ngano man ka tanaw nimo ba
It's very practical.
Kay kung muhisgot ka og pagkaon sa Singapore, muhisgot ka og pagkaon sa Vietnam, muhisgot ka og pagkaon sa Thailand, daghan man kayog spices, you know nya. Kung ganahan kay kagali, moingon naging ubang tawo nga, kung adto kag Thailand, bay kaning padadi ko kan this and that because wala na diri and all of that stuff. So akong pangutana is ngano ang mga pagkaon sa ubang nasod murag rich man kayo. Nya ato simple ra man kayo. Nganong wa man ta ni I don't know, innovate perhaps is a correct word.
Innovate.
Nganong
innovation.
Sugma 2 kilo ramang gyapon.
Actually, innovation comes when we already have nilarang. For the tuwa, it became nilarang. That's an innovation of tinuwa. Then you have the escabeche. It's a touch of the Spanish influence now where
ceviche, di ba?
Ceviche that became nga gibutangan og sarsado.
Sarsado na. Adlaw ni mo dia Ron Waldo Runas Yungas Mendoza Z. Daghang salamat, maraming salamat po. We're talking about the ASEAN atong gisgutan karon. We're talking about Cebuano or Visayas food or even Filipino food
in relation to our ASEAN connections.
Yes, kung unsa man gyud ang representative of what Filipino food or Filipino cuisine is. Kay daghan man kayo mga influencers nga mo ari diri sa Cebu, mo ari sa Pilipinas unya ang ilang atuon kanang part bill. So bato kilo man na diya sa part bill, di ba?
Lagi.
Unya kaning unsay pungko-pungko nya lechon mura, di ba? Dili gyud kayo siya rich ba? I know nga sa tapad sa Casagordo bitaw. Na sila more og a little bit of history of I don't know if you've been there. You know Casagordo, right? Katong museum, right?
Sa tapad, Lupisay na sa una. I live there. I live there.
Nakakita ko sa ilahang adjacent actually the building beside it na ay more og ganing representation bitaw of Cebuano Visayas cuisine. Nakakita ka na wala?
Wala ko kasuroy ron napita asa na.
Kaya gibisita mo gano ni kuan katong influencer bitaw nga about food si kuan kasi nga
Erwan
gibis.
Oh yeah, kuyog
giadto na niya ang
kuyog na sila sa akong mga kauban sa slow food. Mo nang ako ang advocacy, kuyog man ako sila. Appeal ko sa slow food movement, which is the movement around the world. It started in Italy, but they are encouraging and empowering cultures to preserve that which is their inherent cuisine nila, which is indigenous cuisine, whichever started from way before. So kada nabot na silang Erwan diha, nya gikuyugan sila.
So unsa how rich is Visayas or Cebuano cuisine?
Nabay puso sa ubang lugar wa. So in fact, puso is celebrated as just actually it's a miscoined term. It's just called hanging rice. It should not be called that way. I would say it's an appropriation. So the way we look at puso as just that rice inside of the coconut leaves is actually a ritual prayer for protection. So you actually eat, huning akong kuan nga, nikaon kag baboy nga makamatay, pero imong kanon, giampuan na, gipangajian na kaniadto. So there's a heritage cuisine we have for the rice. So in terms of what we have as uniquely ours, daghan ka proud of. Like kato, akong ingon mo, nilarang, dirim po na. It's an innovation of Tinua. Atay kaning inununan. And there's still an innovation of the seafood that we know.
From what I understand, kanang inununan was made because there was no refrigeration back then, and that was the best way to preserve food, di ba?
Innovate yun. Di ba, na-preserve nila by making it with suka, and then the kinilaw, the way we eat it fresh, and so everything is. But when you say innovation, I don't think walay innovation. We've been innovating.
So do you think our cuisine compared to, let's just say, Singaporean or Thai cuisine or Vietnamese cuisine, kaning is as rich as those other ASEAN nations?
It's just as rich as what we come to know. Ang nakita mo guna ko, for them, they were able to utilize the spices that they've been using because they've been also kanang gi-recognize magud nila maayo that they have Indian influence, and so gigamit to nila the way they use the spices. Sa ato among bahin.
Anong wala man ba nga? Di ba the reason why the Spaniards came here supposedly for the spices, di ba, the Spice Islands, di ba? Ngano man nga wala man kayo to anang mga spices.
This is a code name. But we do have spices because of the trade network.
No, what I mean by is nganong dili man siya as rich atong mga spices.
When
we talk about Filipino cuisine, dili man pareha sa Thai mga spices nga nagi mga mga gipang brand nila, mga cumin, mga paprika, whatever.
I agree.
Nganong di
a lot of
that?
those are available here, and a lot of indigenous cuisines are using it.
Okay.
But here's something that I'd like to say that would actually be controversial for a lot.
Well, go ahead.
As a slave, you serve your conquistadors. What do they want to be served? And that's the only thing that you aspire to cook every single time. And mo na imong iserve sa mga tao, and that's what you have came to know. And then katong uban, you frown upon that because
so what do they get served?
You serve the conquistadors, the Spanish people, what they want to eat.
So what do they want to eat?
Aside from lechon, which is of course everybody's delight, I like to eat the. Do you remember the arroz? The arroz Valenciana, most that they are able to appreciate with their palate, that they request for locals to do when the locals are just eating the way we've been eating.
So katong mga atong mga colonizers, ang ilang ganahan nga ipaluto is mga
ilahang mga
Valenciana,
cuisine.
Ano sa tawag na mga those Spanish cuisine,
those Spanish cuisine.
So don't we learn from kadaghanan ng mga nakatrabaho sa mga hotel, ilang makatuon sila sa pagluto. So mga nakatuon ta sa paggamit sa mga spices and all of that stuff,
definitely.
So nganong why are we stuck with the sugbatuwa kilaw?
No. What I'm trying to say is that sa ilahang nahibalaan, that's what they're also aspiring to make on their own. Kay mo gani kinaon sa mga agalon.
Correct.
Mo kinaon, mo na itakaonon. But they never experimented, but there were few of them that experimented. That's what made the cross, mga kaldereta, it became like that, no? Nadaghan na kay cross about the food, sa mga seafood, daghan na, gawas pa sa escabeche.
CJ Sem, Joyce Kimpo Vela, and Rams Ryle, thank you so much for watching us, and good afternoon. You're listening to By Jai and Jiggy Juice. And of course, right beside me we have Ralph Chavez. So you were saying.
Kana, mo lang nga, it's not that they were not able to innovate and integrate the ingredients and the spices. Daghan. Actually, I could not name anymore most of that. Basta, if you look around the Philippines, much of the food that are now available is actually the result of how they innovated. And naa na siya influence sa mga conquistadors and naa po siya influence of the native way of preparation. It's just that the native way of preparation, there's a tendency good nga. It's very raw. And then the processes that were involved around it may be a little bit tedious.
What do you mean by raw?
Example.
Do you mean actual raw kinilaw or something else? What do you mean by raw?
Not so much the kinilaw. Okay, kinilaw is very much right there. Practically, you could just get the fish and then eat it raw.
Mayong adlaw na video, Ryan Lastimosa. I love the topic, Master Jai. Si Ryan Lastimosa. Kaila ka, di ko ni Jojo Lastimosa si Ryan Lastimosa. Basketball player man ni si
Jojo Lastimosa
back in the day.
Kuan, kanang mas related siya ni Leo Lastimosa.
Oy, okay.
Bitaw. Ryan.
Baga sa ginig paa di kay nakinomdom ko bagtak ni Leo Lastimosa. Jojo Lastimosa. Baga man kayo.
Baga nagpa maskulado na ron si Master Ryan. Si Ryan mo na ibana ni ako ang nahimong higala nga nasuod din ako sila si Jessel.
Okay.
Lastimosa. So mo nga kaning tapita diha. I'd like to say nga lami gihapon ang atong food, Jiggy Juice. I think you know that. If you move around the Philippines, north and south, makatilaw ka, labaw nags Mindanao. Mula gini ako masulti, no?
Kana ba,
if you look at the colors.
Wadyo ko nakibaon sa cuisine and taste profile sa Mindanao.
Tilaw nakagpalapa kanang ilahang mga chives nga gipanghimo nilang preserve nya muna imuhang appetizer.
Wala tilaw na ba.
So kani bitong ilang food in Mindanao sa south side. I would say no, very kaning morning ako maingon nga diha na integrated kayo. Nga naa na sila influence of the Arab and the influence of the Indonesian, Malaysian. So diha ka kakaon og kanang lami gyud. I mean sa north sa naapoy daghan lami kay anang mga ibatan, the indigenous and then the way they prepare. So I would say nga innovative ta, and we were not just unless kita mo sa gi-feature ni Erwan Husaf sa iyang FETR feature. You would know how diverse and how in our culinary landscape sa Philippines, how innovative we were. And then katang sa atong indigenous, I would like to really push the curtains out and open to showcase what we have. Grabe pag kayo. Check out Slow Food Movement, no? Kami ni Chef Sweetie, Tita Luella Alex, our food historian. Because we're out there right now, man. We're educating. And mo nang kuwang na lang yun nato is to mainstream that.
What are you educating them with?
Unfortunately, mga foreigners yun kasagaran. Or local tourists as well.
What are you educating them with?
Our local cuisine from A to Z. They've been documenting that. They're working with the tourism office and they've been we call mapping. Mapping our katilaw na kagkuan Jiggy Juice kanang kuhol or snail nga nas kahoy.
Wala ko
gitawag nagkurakul. And that with takyaw ang tawag po na pag-prepare. You could eat that. It's actually well, I don't know, I haven't tasted escargot, but it's far better than escargot as far as I So there are a lot of things that we are food that we have to experience.
Kanagong pagkaon sa Baijay, di ba? It's also a feature of availability, di ba?
Availability.
Kanang gihisgot nimo nga snail or whatever.
Kurakul.
Basig dili na kay na siya kaning widely available.
Not widely available because
lisod na pangitaon, di ba?
Deforestation and
lisod na kayo
pesticides.
Wanay na maligya. Ano bitaw? So
it's a specialty
mga pangandoy sad kana imong gihisgutan nga kaning gitudlo nga unsay gikaon natong una. Kung lisod na pangitaon nga resource nga ingredient, so kung i-promote na nimo just for the sake of kaning educating, that's fine, right? Pero kung imo nang make available to not just the locals but the tourists as well. Dili available ang
it's gonna be available.
Lisod gayo.
Yeah.
Lisod gayo,
it's
diba?
a special, kumbaga ka na bang special cuisine lang ba nga? Only served on special occasions. Mora man po jud na siya kay according to availability man jud. Everything else according to availability unless gibuhi nimo manok kanang gitawag nimo manok Bisaya, right? Na pwede ra manguha og mga buhi dia.
So part of what you have to take into consideration also is we're democracy, we're a capitalist economy, di ba?
Yeah.
So ang pasabot niya na is kaning kung unsay mahalin mo ay ibaligya, di ba?
That's
Diba?
that's the truth, though.
The same goes for Thai cuisine, the same goes for Singaporean cuisine, the same goes for Vietnamese cuisine, di ba? Kung unsay mahalin sa usa ka nasod, usa ka lugar, mo na prevailing kaning food in the streets, di ba? Kay mo may mahalin.
Yeah.
Mo may easily marketable, di ba?
Yeah. I remember before.
So kana imong complicated kayo nga story about food.
It's not really complicated.
It's beautiful. It's very kaning illuminating how rich our culture is, because what I'm listening to you about, this just underscores how rich we are as a people ba. Daghang kay mga lain-lain nga mga salina, lain-lain nga mga pagkaon, di ba?
Yeah.
So pero ang morais above na niya katong sayon i-market, sayon
What is convenient?
Kay
like noodles.
Okay.
Pancit canton on the side of the street.
O sayon man kay moingon kang Cebu, lechon. Di ba? Kay kung moingon kag taas pa kay istorya, lisod na kay wa kay elevator pitch sa imuhang lugar, di ba?
That thing I'd like to say. Remember before na maglakaw-lakaw niya mo sigit-sagit. Tinapanan mo diya, bay!
Ako nakakon.
Tinapanan, meaning it's a smoked fish.
Balot ra akong naibawan gyud, balot.
Otro na. So, when you say available, dugay na tang daghang kay available nga food. That was actually easier to produce, but because of the way we have mainstream a lot of those that, makaingon ta ba nga for convenience sake. That is not really even serving the general health of the masses and the general health of our fellow men, no? Mahug bitaw nga money ang price for convenience, everybody. This is what you see if you only agree with everyone, especially in the government. Muhatag ninyo, yango-ngo rapod mo. But if you try to voice out, and right now, kulang naman gud ako nakita, Jiggy Juice, mo nang ma-frown upon na siya and people ignore it because it becomes just another nature scene.
I don't
know. But wagi ka, ninduta na eh. After that, niagi ra ka. Okay? And then there are healing modalities, therapeutic environments. May na sila nature bathing, forest bathing. That you have to stay there. Take some time. Breathe. Nahitabo sa ato we never really did these things. Wala na tana. We're passing by. Natay nindot kay nga culture, natay nindot kayo nga art, natay nindot kayo nga craft, music, seafaring, knowledge, heritage, and tradition. A lot of our physical aspects were really celebrated all over the world.
Correct.
In fact, tattoo culture is coming from us.
It's nice to talk about that.
Yeah,
it's nice to look back. But that was a different time, goodbye.
No.
That was a different time. Unya, the way there was less people in the world at that time, diba? So maingon ka nga slow and like enjoy the forest and all of that stuff. In fact, there are ways for us to slow down and be present and all of that stuff available to the modern man, modern person, right? Pero akong pasabot ba is it's nice to learn and pick up some things about the past that we can learn from. In fact, kanang meditation, kanang being present is an old idea, diba? That's been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So but nasa mga butang bay nga kanang nindot siya pero dili na mabuhat karon. Kay lahi naman the reason why we are what we are now is because of the things we've learned from the past, diba? So
hopefully those were good things.
there murag ginaingon nila nga don't throw the baby with the bathwater. Naay mga butang ganahan nato nga i-preserve. Pero napoy ubang butang nga ato sang ilabay sad kay for the sake of number one, convenience. Number two, kaning economic benefits, di ba? And perhaps number three, siguro is ang atong mga utok mong goodbye. This is really the human condition. Tapulan mong good.
Okay.
Tapulan, we're really lazy ba? By nature ba? Ganahan tag sayon. Ganahan tag sayon isag-o. Ganahan tag mo label tag sa kabutang para kana siya. Kuan man na siya kaning sa tawagan na niya. Burikat na siya, panlitan. So sayon na i-label ba? Without having to to know the full story of the person. Gilabel nimo para sa yun. Kay kung dili nimo i-label by dugay man kayo kapoy makay sabton pa nimo si Maria nga this and that nya human na mo nang inanan. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I get every part what you're talking about, but what I actually presenting here is that it is not rocket science that what we do, who we are, what we have been, and whatever's. May isgot kog tattoo. Is that something new? Is that something that has to be explained?
Well, that's universal.
It's universal.
Every single culture has tattoo.
I know, but as far as I'm concerned, when you look at history, the folks that were Europeans saw us. They're the ones who started copying us. That's our tattoo culture.
Yeah, but
those were our elders.
Kana nga claim by that's actually a very a huge claim, and then you know you can probably debate that nga kinsay gasaguan na niya.
Why do they call us El Diablo in the first place? That's documented. They did not follow us by. I mean, they despised us. El Diablo.
El Diablo to me has is very Mexican.
The Spanish. Why? Because they saw the tattoo and how they demonized the tattooing culture. It was actually very, and they killed people. Di patay nila nga to ang mga
really
elders
because to me my modern interpretation of the tattoo
that's modern now
is na-demonize na siya kay kailangan sa mga piniriso magpatato man, di ba?
But that's dili na siya. It's not only the prisoners.
That's where the demonization comes from.
The friars started it. The way they colonized us because they turned everybody against the leaders. The elders were having tattoo up to their faces. But you say El Diablo, those with tattoo El Diablo. So the elders are now becoming their enemy. Because what? These are badges. They were as a general.
How do they sell katong mga friars? How do they frame the story? Katong mga naitato is El Diablo because
that is you put something like an ink into your body and then you're desecrating your body. And so these things.
There's a lot of religions that prohibit injections and tattoos,
definitely.
So that's part of the story.
Part of the story. That's the narrative behind it. But they really forgot to immerse themselves and even look at the perspectives coming from the people of the land. Now, what they have as a form of adoration is that everything is temporary. They know that everything will pass. And they know that they communicate in such a way that they print the story in their body. And it starts from the leg all the way up.
But isn't that ironic nga they know nga everything will not last, everything will pass, and they're tattooing it in their bodies, and they know nga the body is temporary.
It is temporary.
So isn't that kind of
No, because the story can be read through the elders, but when the younger generation,
when you die,
it's gonna be gone. Definitely.
So what happened?
They're burned, buried, and so on.
Yeah.
The elders are actually looking down, and those looking up will see the story through their bodies, and the patterns are already set into, the patterns are there that represents what it represents. Unsay iyahang gipasabot that tells the story nga mao dito grabe gyud ka giagian na akong apuhan nga naikahayag na ikangitngit na mga buaya. And so these things are already set into storytelling culture mata kay naraba ko nailhan diha nga giingnan di wala pa tay written culture ko no nawagtang na napugyud oral culture, oral storytelling culture. So there are people now. And unfortunately, this is what I want to say. The ones that are destroying the Filipinos are the Filipinos themselves. In fact,
who else will destroy but ourselves?
Mao gani. Diba? Antonio Luna, everybody.
Anong nakaingon man kana Bajay? That's a huge claim.
No, it is a big claim, and it has to be really resonating.
How are we destroying ourselves?
No, we destroy our history. We forget our past. We just choose to be convenient. We just choose what's convenient for us. We just choose something that is easily palatable for our understanding to the recent narrative.
Mom gina human condition ba?
But we have to
survive.
I know.
Survival is the primal human motive, di ba? So kung anything that's not going to help you survive, you'll try to set it aside.
I don't think you wouldn't survive if you tell your story the way you were. Imong giagian. Diba supposedly you mentioned that you are proud of what you went through.
Yeah.
And you have a story, right?
Yeah.
And this actually tells a story. The tattoo has a story.
Yeah, correct.
And it actually is our way of being. Our literature is there.
But the printing press was invented, diba? Writing was invented, diba? So you no longer have to write things in your body. You can write it in a piece of paper. Paper was invented, diba?
Yeah.
And the printing press was invented. So so kanang nga story, although it's relevant to understand the history of writing because you write it in your bodies, but if you think about it, why do you have to write it in your body when you print it, right? So your story can be printed, diba? So it's a nice story, but you don't have to write the story in your back in a form of a tattoo. Dili na kinanglan, diba? So kasabot ka. So
I understand you.
So there's actually more stories that you can write in a book than your entire body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it actually is an improvement of storytelling because it's easier naman to encapsulate an entire history in a book, right? That in a body, diba?
Yeah. But something's missing on that context because when you talk about rituals and rites, you cannot do just writing on the rituals and rites. That is part of the rituals and rites. It's called the passage, the rites of passage. When you enter a certain society, that's our rite of passage. And that can...
So
it's like...
What about it can't be written?
I'm not saying that you can't write down what you have in your tattoo. What I'm trying to say is that cannot be replaced by just writing it. You have to go through it.
The power of the written word is you can describe, for example, a ritual, diba? For example, in Nashegi, he was chanting this and that, right? So ma-describe mo unsay iyang gisulti, diba?
But to go through the tattoo is not easy, man. If you have a tattoo, and those of you who's been tattooed, katong mga batik ka na, gipatik ka na,
correct.
You go through a certain struggle. In fact, during the past, you die.
Yeah.
Mamatay, ana.
Correct, lagi. So
it's like...
But again, there's a less painful way of doing it, writing it on a piece of paper, diba?
Go ahead. Nobody's stopping you doing that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but if
the purpose of the tattoo is to encapsulate or to tell a story.
Tell a story.
So nganong dili man ka mag anesthesia kung paibot ang ngipon, di ba? Nana may anesthesia.
I agree.
So kung ibton mangingipon nimo nga walay anesthesia nga nana may modern invention. So na may modern invention of writing. So why do you have to write the story in your body when you can write it on a piece of paper? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's the theoretical framework. When you write,
that's a fact.
Everything's on your head. No,
that's a fact.
You cannot just write something that you haven't done. It's actually more on the head space. Meaning, you're writing something.
You can't write something you haven't done. People imagine.
No, but how can you write the story of being tattooed when you are not there?
How can you write the story? You have to have your tattoo.
That's part of rituals and rites. That's part of rites of passage. You cannot just write it down because that's part of our history. That's part of our heritage.
You cannot just write it down.
That's what I'm trying to say. Muna ako pasabot ba?
I'm repeating it because I don't understand it.
Muna ako pasabot ha. Ningon man ka nga, you could just forego being tattooed. But part naman as a heritage and tradition of a practice.
Correct.
And I'm not saying everybody should be tattooed. If you are an indigenous person, definitely part of tradition, and it's a way of your life.
Yeah.
But for those who...
But remember, traditions come and go.
I know, but it actually does not have to go like you just throw it out in the ocean and it's done. No.
Through the natural passage of time, a tradition disappears. Even words.
I know there were traditions.
Languages die all the time. There are languages that are dying right now as we speak.
Yes, I agree.
In the same way, there are species of life that are going to die right now. Extinct na siya completely.
Yeah.
So, death is a natural occurrence of life.
That's
right?
true.
So, kanang imong mga traditions, kanang imong mga species, kanang imong mga cultural practices, dying is not unique.
I know.
Mga matay na sila.
I know. That's why there's also...
And then you can write about it. We can read about it. It's well and good. But it doesn't mean we have to do it again.
It depends on which part of that system or a practice that you have to let it die.
Yeah.
If it really has to die, it will die.
Yeah. A natural death.
To tell you honestly, Jiggy Juice, you're telling me to kill something which you already face around you anyway.
Yeah.
It's innovated, something like this. It's being innovated. I'm in the case of the tattooing, it's even innovated in such a way it's becoming more and more scientific and more easy, convenient, and so on.
Yeah.
So in that context, I'm going to let it go as it's already now a global thing. It's not dying, it's actually evolving.
No, because tattooing is cool. You know,
It becomes cool now.
Cool man siya, and
Right.
it's like an art work
It is an artwork.
on your body ba.
Yes.
And so lahi na po iyahang context ba.
Mm.
Like magpatato ko kay cool, magpatato ko kay like you have a story to tell or whatever,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So
Right.
they evolved na siya into something else, right? But
Yeah.
you can't say ako ning itato ang story nako diri that from the day I was born until I die.
Depends, man.
Oh.
Depends.
You know what I
Depends
mean?
on you. It's
Yeah.
your choice.
Imo na ng
It's your
choice, but
choice.
there are choices now.
But as you said,
Oh.
modern na,
Oh.
there are anesthesia,
Oh.
anesthetize ng tao.
Oh.
Nya, ang mga machines, very
Kung yun
sophisticated.
naging tattoo, pwede na nagmurag tinudan na yung
Exactly.
tao nga gi-paint sa body, di ba?
Right. So those technologies are available now.
Yeah.
So the sense of the rights
Yeah.
is not anymore
Yeah.
even there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are still some of those that they evaluate as a part of tradition.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so ang ato ang ASEAN karon, part of the discussion there is tourism man, di ba?
The tourism
so,
aspect.
ang part man gud sa usa ka
Yeah.
lugar nga ganahan ka mo bisita because iyang kultura rich.
Exactly.
Kultura niya rich. So kani imong
Yeah.
gipangistorya ba? Nindot kay nastanan. In fact, a tourist would want to go to the Philippines
Yes.
precisely because of the stories that you're telling us.
Right.
But how do we embody that? How do we
Yes.
show that to the world, di ba?
Tourism.
Dili manggali ta maka hugpong gali sa mga projects nga life and death situation kanang gatong garbage problem na to, kanang
Garbage
flood
problem.
problem kana na hinung usa ka butang nga murag nice to have, pero kung in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
it's not about survival.
Yeah.
Kaning waste problem na to, daghang kayong nangamatay. Kaning
Yeah.
atong flooding problem, daghang kayong nangamatay, di ba?
We're definitely warming up right now, Jiggy Juice.
Unsaon man na nato bay? Kana imong mga pangandoy ba nga
Yeah.
ang atong kultura represented sa ASEAN
Yeah.
accurately.
Yeah. So, Kani,
Nagdagan makita problema.
this is recorded, and I'm gonna get back to this, and I'm gonna tell people, Jiggy Juice, to go back to this conversation
Okay.
because this question you're asking right now is the problem we're facing diri sa Sugbo and elsewhere in the Philippines and as a whole. The only reason why unsa may nakaharang gyud sa ato ang kauswagan ba and our progress is definitely because we don't recognize who we truly are. We were animistic. We were one with nature. We respect every single engagement we do when it pertains to the natural environment. So kanang mga problema na to sa basura.
Okay. Let me just recap
Yeah.
what you said. So our problem is because we do not know who we truly are. So ang ato mga problema kanang hisgot nako ganihang nga basura, kaning flood control scam,
our
and
leadership,
and our kaning tourism industry nga
Yes.
dili kayo
yes.
maayo tungod sa mga natural disasters.
Yes.
So mo na ang because we don't know who we truly are.
We don't know who
Please
truly are.
continue. Ako lang gi-recap
Yeah.
para makasabot
Para
atong mga
paraphrase, paraphrase.
GM Colosino, si Jamila Aguila Hadok Pagunsan, o Maria Feyang Villasor, o Kim Antonio. These are very new names.
New names, ha?
Daghang salamat. Thank you so much.
Tagadiin man mo diha,
Maraming
mga
salamat
minaw
po sa
Daghang salamat kaninyo.
sa inyong pagtanaw. Thank you so much for watching
So
and listening.
pagpaminaw na to dire.
Thank you for listening. Yes, continue.
Kana.
So, mo na rason sa itong problema kay, go ahead.
Kay kung imong tan-awon unsa ta sa una, sa mga tanan mga binuhatan sa mga kakaraan, maminaw ta sa mga katigulangan. Elder system ba? The elder system is gone because of politicians and so the way we do our governance.
Wait a minute. Most of the politicians are actually elders.
Not all.
Most of them are.
Yeah, but not all in terms of how they've achieved and how they reach their state in the society.
Well,
Kay uban na legacy biya. Uban biya ana kay dynasty biya, no?
Correct, yeah.
So ang akong pasabot ani is this. Sa una we have that and we've been having that. Ang ato ang practices kanang may wadto ka sa mga lugar nga wa ka kahibaw, mingon jud kang ayaw pataka diha kay naidili yung nato.
Correct.
And the way we revere that, in fact, naatoy offering ito sa Mindanao, madto ko, pag-offer, bisag usa ka dako or piso or unsa imong gidala diyang sinsiyo, ibilin. Because there are beings other than us that exist. Every time mo kuha kag dahon, kuha kag prutas, you do offering. And kani bitaw related kani sa environmental atong problem karon. And the way we have as a structure culturally, we're very much nature-based people. Look at the indigenous people. That's the real sense of circular economy. Nga wa gyud na sila wastage. Unless nasud ka diha as a colonizer, no, intrude ka diha, and then you introduce something, you did not know the effect of it. Mo pa na di na pwede gyud mo dritso kag sulod. And so going back to our
this is a case against modernity. I think what you're trying to say is the older way was the better way. That's what you're suggesting.
No,
right?
not really. But I'm trying to say is the modern Philippines now, which totally has an identity crisis. This is definite. We have an identity crisis because we associate ourselves as, I'm a Spanish, I'm a Chinese, but definitely we have more Chinese than trying to imagine you are Spanish.
Yeah. So again, your claim is we don't know who we truly are.
Yes.
That's why we have problems like kaning tong flood control scam and
it relates to that.
And
the way we are.
Tourism and what's the other problem that we were talking about?
Environment.
Garbage problem.
Yeah, going back to that garbage problem.
Not knowing who we are becomes a problem and to solving these problems.
Because when you look at the way we have been doing our things nowadays, because we don't really have a connection, not just for ourselves, but for our land, kanang atong yutang kata nabilin, our ancestral domain. So the point that I'm trying to make now is, when you look at the past, kusog kitag elder system good, like ang lula, ang ingon sa kong lolo.
Let me just interject for a while.
Yeah.
The reason why Manggod we looked up to the elders back then was they were the receptacle. They were the containers of information. Sila may nakibaw unsay nahitabo atong una, unsay nahitabo karon, and kibaw sila sa storya sa yuta kani ang tag-iya ani si Procopio, ang anak ni Procopio, ang anak na siya ni Adam and Eve, so nasubay niya. Karon man goodbye, dili nam ka kinanglan og tawo nga mo hold sa information.
Si AI na mo sulti mo, si Meta na
libro, the invention of the printing press, na ay internet, ibutang nimo sa hard drive ang information kinsay tagiyan ning yuta. So that makes the elder useless.
Not really,
because they know we can get the story of the land pananglitan not through a person anymore.
I agree though,
but through
that
research
part.
Through research, di ba? So mo na ako masabot. Please continue.
I'd like to connect to that.
Elders
have wisdom. Wisdom is not memorization. Wisdom is not just purely storytelling. They put in insights and they put the gist. Sometimes we don't understand things by the way we hear it. Ngunang hatag na sila mga perspectives, because perspectives come nga imuhang side of the story that you're trying to tell. And it doesn't mean that everything that you tell is right.
Correct.
Muna. So ang point lang nako is that elder system is still very valuable. So kusog na nato sa una niya. Muingon na ganing katigulangan, mo bitaw nang muingon na poong pas katigulangan.
Di ba, but in our culture, but that's why we are very popular when it comes to medical care, especially mga nurses and all of that stuff all over the world, is because of our respect for our elders. So are you saying that's slowly disappearing?
Slowly disappearing, definitely. In this generation, murag wala na gina siya nag-inculcate ba. And especially mo itong gingon, the availability of information and technology, mas mutuo pa na silang Meta and Google. So going to that, connecting to that line of the idea that I'm trying to present, until ang kaning line of thought akong gihatag ninyo ba, until moabot ang panahon na makahimamat ta by the form of mainstreaming it, by the form of presenting it, by the form of
makahimamat og unsa man,
the way katong ingon, the way we wear, unsay ato ang mga practices that we've forgotten, katong imo gi-mention nga gipanglabay bisag napay hinungdan, that we can actually just try to put it back in place and see how it works.
But don't you think it's too late? We've already got the genie out of the bottle ba, out of the lamp, Right? So murag
Is it-
murag ang toothpaste ba murag lisod naman kay isod ang toothpaste balik sa butil sa container niya, di ba? Sa tube, di ba?
I don't know, but
Isn't it too late for that, ba?
is it too late to use the waterway nga mga tao di kabaw malangoy to train people how to swim, to train people how to use some vessels because traffic na kayo ang atong syudad. Why not utilize the waterways which is very open? And when you utilize the waterways, then you try to clean it up, and you try to make it better place.
Yeah.
And then the riverways, pwede din na nato i-open and then we clean it up and make it a better place. Is it too late to do that? I think, in fact, that's what the environment is shouting out loud nowadays. And it's not a genie in the bottle thing for me, because that's actually what we call the light at the end of the tunnel instead. Okay, what we're trying to look at as an environmental woe is that it is a cultural problem generally. That's not anymore anything else. It's a cultural problem. The Philippines is number one all over the world for the waste practices because of our culture now. Truly confused culture and state we are. That's what I
Confused
say.
culture.
Confused culture.
Pasabda ko na kami, why are we confused? There are other cultures out there who don't even, like for example Singapore. Panalitan Singapore, wala man na sila original culture,
No, but they
diba?
have a direction, man.
So I mean, like that's a feature of a leader,
Yeah.
diba? Pero culture magod is the population, the people,
Yes,
diba? So
yes.
so when you say you have a culture identity crisis,
Yeah.
dili man siguro ta na identity crisis. The thing with the Philippines, we're so diverse. We're so different because we're archipelagic. Maglain-lain gyud paguna-huna.
Yes.
In fact, as an entertainment event or organizer, makibawag gyud ka nga ang Cebu diverse kay ang atong syudad, ha.
Yeah.
Taga-lain-lain na silang isla.
Right.
So lisod kaayo papakpakon, lisod kay patindugon ang mga tao.
Yeah.
Kay taga-lain-lain silang lugar. So
Definitely.
I think it's not confusion. You're mistaking confusion with diversity. You're mistaking you're mistaking who we are as one identity because we're not. We're not one people. We're different people, right?
Please don't confuse me with diversity and confusion, because I do know we are diverse.
Yeah.
In fact, I empower diversity.
Yeah.
But it's just that what are you trying to put diversity for? I mean, unsa may pasabot nimo nga diversity? Nga actually what you're trying to say is what is happening right now. We're trying to become one as usa ka. We were even imposed to speak Tagalog one time.
Yeah.
Nga marag, we're actually doing that. Everything that you mentioned, we're doing that now.
The reason for that is technology. Karon si Sray Jen, si Jeff Gutierrez, Mary Grace Borgilios, magandang hapon po, magandang
Tagalog mo ba? Tagalog na sila?
Kasi marami sa ating mga
Tigpaminaw.
tigpananaw
Our
are
listeners,
from Luzon, they're
Hey!
Tagalog. So we have to speak Tagalog.
Talaga?
Konti lang, konti. Pero kinabag-an gyud sa ato mga tigpaminaw ug tigpananaw, mga bisdak gyud sila.
Bisaya lagi.
But some of them are actually also foreign, right? They're not from these beautiful islands. They're probably from the United States, from other parts of Europe, and from Asia, perhaps, who can understand English.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
Thank you.
watching.
Salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Salamat po.
Kabalo may Tagalog.
We're trying to communicate to everyone as much as we can.
True.
Pero
true.
bro, kanin mo kung technology good is the great equalizer. Nag-ingon sila. Somebody once said, the future is homogeneous. Pasabot ana, kabantay ka ng mga futuristic movies ba? Nga puti puros,
Yeah.
'di ba? Nga parehag kolor tanan, 'di ba? Because whether we like it or not, but no matter how much we harp about our differences and culture and food and clothes, at the end of the day, we have the same hearts, desires. Pareha tag mga pangandoy sa atong kasing-kasing nga mahigugma, higugmaon, nga makakaon, nga naay balay, pareha ra gyud tanan. So ang ilang gisulti is inig ka next 100 years, 1,000 years magkapareho gyud tanan.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Kana atong mga differences in culture will mean nothing in the future because we will want to survive. You will want peace. The reason magud natay conflict sad good is we want to some cultures want to impose who they are. Nga ani man mo ni sakto kinanglan mo tuo ka og Ginoo kay kung mo worship ka og kahoy buang ka. Dili ka pareha namo.
Right.
Mo na magubat na sila.
Mao na.
So kung imong tuison imong tan-awon unsa magi maayo gyud. At the end of the day mga wagtang na sila.
Yeah.
So that's
time will come.
That's
It will
all I'm
happen.
saying, but it's nice that we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Because hopefully this will be preserved. What we're talking about will be preserved.
Just catch their attention.
and
Get this into their trail of thoughts.
They will understand.
Yeah. Kumbaga,
Us more as
makita nila ni ba? Because I would say morning reason nga nung wala ni na practice and what ni makita because nobody really saw this so much. But now, unless your algorithm points out, that's why I'm also echoing this out loud because I want you to access the algorithm around this whole thought, this whole context of our history. And mo na nga I agree with you, Jiggy Juice, nga eventually mawagtang na tanang differences. But what I would just wanna try to put in at the time being, kay ang ato ang tanang issues right now is because we really don't have a grasp. We don't really have a rooting of our even us as living here in Cebu. Muna nga dagan kay nadire ang una-una na nasa meta world bang na ko dito. I wanna be there. I wanna be do tanaw sa imong lugar doon. Wanna maginaytiman na to sa pa. Sigag appreciate og Switzerland. Maabot mo Switzerland. May inanion po na yung Switzerland. You know?
In fact, that's the reason why there's so much outrage with the flood control and all of these problems because we're comparing ourselves magod to other people. It actually is a good instrument by Jai.
Yes.
Ngam kaingon ka nga Switzerland, that's an ideal society. They
Ideal,
got it figured out, right?
Right.
So makakompare ka ba if we did not know about Switzerland, if we did not know about Singapore, if we did not know about this and that, and there's a better way of doing things.
Yeah.
We would never ang
We
atong
will
process
not start doing something.
Ang atong process of learning is so much longer. Okay, we have to learn from the mistakes.
Precisely.
Pero makakita ta buang og
They already done that.
They already did that, man, and solved the stupid problem of garbage, right? So masayon-sayon ang atong learning curve.
True. Speaking of ASEAN, that's what they're actually supposed to talk about. That they will share what their mistakes are, and then where they are in their track record, and that what were the good practices that they did. Muna na sila magpahibalo ba nga mo niya mong gibuhat to nga may migdiskarte. But I think nindot pud nga nang ASEAN karon. And then nindot pud nga they're really seeing whatever they see now in the Philippines para matagaan nila kay kabalo naman ang kalibutan right now that we're the contributors of plastic waste, the number one around the world. Yeah, we are already 0% forest cover sa Cebu as a Philippines, sa whole country. Ang Cebu is already almost 0% of forest cover. So
Almost 0%.
Actually,
where
2% forest cover too. That was actually I think.
Dili ko makafeel na ba kay diri sa tops where we are, I still see patches of green, right? Pero tinood ka ba nga almost zero na tapos.
Almost 0%, Jiggy Juice, because the fact that 2% was way back. And then the rate of deforestation is still very fast.
There's no law protecting nature, ba?
There is definitely.
So kanang percentage nimo, isn't it supposed to not go down to a certain level?
It's not go actually.
Unsa may balaod na ba?
It should stop.
So ito man ka ba? Unsa may balaod sa retention of forest and fauna?
Well, there's the Environment Natural Resources Office supposed to
Pila may
spearhead
ka-percentage
that.
per area?
I don't think that we counted by percentage, man. It's mainly right now. It's to protect na lang yun, and the way the mechanisms of its protection.
Nga, each place you have to have like 30% green or whatever.
Wala ko kibaw sa kanang actual nga kanang standards nga pila ang percentage, but that low percentage of 2% is embarrassingly low how we are, but understandable kay sa una gigamit man tanan mga kahoy na tundagko, the powerful almasiga himong mga bungbong tanawan ng Fort San Pedro mo man mga bato or mga kahoy nga dagko. And so back to ASEAN and how we are and how it's crucial and it's key nga ma-locate na to atong kaugalingon. And we do not blame anymore the government, your LGU, whoever na nagpuyo dool sa sapa, to start na lang to recognize nga naagyo day tay practice sa una gid nga magrespekta, naagyo tay pagtahod sa kinaiyahan, and that very much kanang gabaan bitaw Not karma. Karma is a wrong notion that we all know.
Oh, that's similar. Similar kanang gaba is similar to karma.
In our notion.
Yeah.
But that is not the right meaning for karma in general.
Yeah.
Karma means the energy. It's either good or bad. It's the action.
That's mura-mura siya Hinduism ng karma usually, di ba?
That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yang ato ang Filipino misconception of karma is mura na ni colloquial na siya.
Yeah.
So the real
Lost
energy
in translation.
lost in translation. So ang ato unta is we want to try to do this whole part of our action nga naanay gaba oy nya kanang moral na to bang anay mo ana na to bisag gamay lang plastic diha ako good.
You know, somebody once said ang kaning progress ba will always have wastage. You know, plastic for example was invented and it is a infinite convenience, right? I mean, grabe kay convenient kay barato and all of that stuff. Nag-ingon sila ba nga because of progress, because of the wheels of commerce, we cannot solve the environmental problem from within. This needs a technological solution. Ang pasabot niya na is technology. Someday somebody will invent something to solve our environmental problem.
It's
so dili ni mahimo nga kaning marag minudo lang ba nga?
No. Of course
and
not.
this and
of
that.
Course not.
Nag-ingon magali sila nga kani kunong kaning atong mga gipangsulti nga you know, recycle and all of that stuff. That's actually a corporation's way of passing the blame on the people. You know what I mean? That's what they're saying ba? Nga the biggest kaning garbage kaning sources of garbage are actually corporations.
That's
diba?
true though. That's true though.
So para ma-deflect sa population, sila.
That's why they're talking about circular economies now.
Kay,
EPRs
para
and so on.
ma-deflect ba? Para dili kayo sila mag-guilty bitaw.
Carbon credits. Muna lang yung mga language
And
na ron,
that
Jiggy
stuff.
Juice.
So do you still believe nga makasulbad ani as individuals, or do you believe nga it needs a technological solution?
Both is actually correct. We can solve it both as an individual, ginagmay. We don't want to throw anything. Kaya nga naman, tanan. In fact, sa Manila, nananaroon imong plastic bottle, imong kuhan, you get money.
Tiffany Banes,
Literally
Jeff
money.
Gutierrez, and kay Liania Maladia, Anna Marie. So, Bayjay, kaning atong conversation murag lindot kay ni Tanada, and I think we need to continue this conversation.
We're gonna see each other this week. Yeah.
And ang importante manggod ani good is every conversation it always has a mura bias. Every conversation will always have a kind of perspective based on the speaker's or the host's point of view.
Yeah.
And I think your point of view on whatever issue it is, it doesn't have to be about ASEAN. It could be about food. It pa ko na kanong atong imong gihisgot ganiha nga kanang pungko iglalabay na sa ubang mga nasod katagi ato nang
we'll go more on that.
Balikan
dara.
So nindot kay ni tanan. So I think we need to continue having your perspective.
Maybe let us know if you have any suggestion. Correct, which topic Jiggy and I will be talking more about. Let us know in the comments. Maybe leave some comments and suggestions nga. Jiggy, Jai, you continue on this, Bajaya.
Yeah, correct.
And so on. Yeah.
So you guys, thank you so much. Jean R. Bustillo, Jenny Ann Ganyo Bagalaiso. How do you say it? Bagalaiso? Sakto ba ni pagka-pronoun?
Bagalayso.
Bagalayos. Pardon me, Jenny. Sorry.
All right.
So please share this video.
Yeah.
I think...
Like and share.
We're
already at 105 point something.
No, I think
and we're now more.
Naabot na taog 109,000
Oh
followers.
My God. So we're exponentially growing. We just celebrated that over a few days ago, being a 105 point something, 0.1. And
114,000.
So my God.
So grabe.
Paspasa right. Grabe you guys, Jiggy Juice.
Si Kuya Magic,
Kuya Magic,
si,
of course.
Raf, kuya kay maghimog.
Si Kuya Raf, ang atong contents.
Grabe kayo ni siya mag-workout. Ito yung abs ba?
Oh yeah.
Katong abs
mo yung nagtaas siguro, no?
Purtig.
Sige lang. Kaya mapakita niya sa Jiggy niya pohon sa iyang abs.
Puerte og kaning sit-ups si Raf ato. So you have to check out our Facebook page. Very exciting content every single day.
And also YouTube.
And YouTube as well. And of course, ato ang conversations every morning, top of the morning,
Top of
and
the
also
morning.
atong UGG show, ang ato ang Simanang ni Agi with
The
Jiggy
Nato.
Juice and Raf Chavez, and of course by Jaya.
Yeah, man.
Daghang salamat.
So I would like to leave something.
Go ahead.
Are we ending?
Go ahead.
I heard from the English meaning of goodbye. The old English was not goodbye. It was God be with ye. And along the way, because of shortcutting and hearing that there's a good morning and good evening, somehow it diluted into good. Instead, it was actually God.
Okay.
In fact, adios and adieu
Okay.
of the Spanish or the French and then the Spanish all meant to be with God, right?
Oh yeah.
The L.
Okay.
So for me, I want to share that also as part of our heritage practice also. That sa Tagalog they say opo. It's actually a shortened version of o poon.
What does that mean?
O God. O poon. Poon means the divine.
Yeah.
Poon means God.
Yeah.
And that also reflects the meaning of the name of the island across Cebu, which is smaller part. It's Opon. That means Opoon. That's why our expression is pohon. Right? And that's what I would like to leave you today, and especially later on, it's Opoon. Naging salamat po kaninyong tanan. By Jaya.
And
And
Jiggy
Jiggy
Juice
Juice.
and Raf Chavez on the
Yeah, man.
controls. Daghang salamat.